the sponsor of the measure, no other than our hard-working mathematician par excellence, no other than the chairman of the Committee on Finance, Senator Win Gatchalian.
Thank you.
Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, Chairman of the Committee on Finance,
Thank you.
is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Di po ako mathematician, pasang-awa lang po ako sa math, Mr. Chairman. Mr. President, esteemed colleagues, I rise today to sponsor House Bill number 4058, or the General Appropriations Act of 2026. The national budget is more than a purse. It is the single most important reflection of the nation's priorities. And these priorities must always embody the aspirations of our people. Dahil hindi lang pamumuno o maayos na pamamahala ang ipinagkatiwala sa atin ng ating mga kababayan, ipinagkatiwala nila sa atin ang kanilang pag-asa, ang pag-asang maramdaman nilang umangat ang kanilang buhay na may saysay ang bawat pisong ginagastos ng gobyerno para sa katuparan ng kanilang mga pangarap. At sa totoo lang, Mr. President, nagkulang tayo. Nagkulang tayo dahil sa talamak na korupsyon, sa flood control, at sa napakaraming sakunang sanay na iwasan at mga buhay na sanay na ligtas kung ginamit lang ng tama ang pera ng bayan. Typhoon Paolo ravaged the provinces of Isabela and Aurora. Capiz and Rojas City bore the brunt of Typhoon Ramil, and Typhoon Tino brought untold devastation to the people of Cebu. According to the Office of the Civil Defense, more than 200 people were killed. Just this weekend, Typhoon Uwan visited its wrath on the country. Homes and communities were devastated, and more than a million people fled their homes to seek safety. And as the recent protests have shown us, public outcry is loud and clear. People have lost faith in government. We are determined to restore what has been lost: leadership, accountability, and transparency. The first step towards rebuilding the trust of our people is showing them, through specific and concrete actions, that their hard-earned money will be used responsibly and that they know exactly where it is going. This representation is proud to say that we have introduced several significant firsts to create the golden age of transparency in the national budget. The first reform we made was sponsoring Senate Concurrent Resolution number 4. This mandated all critical budgetary documents from both the House of Representatives and the Senate to be uploaded online. We launched the Senate Budget Transparency Portal, where our people can watch live streams of the budget briefings and hearings, read the transcripts, peruse the agency presentations, and look at the National Expenditure Program and the House General Appropriations Bill, all in their entirety. There's even a section where citizens can provide feedback and upload their suggestions or position paper. This is the first time that the public will have access to the complete picture of the national budget, from the NEP, the GAB from the House of Representatives, the amendments to the GAB approved on third reading by the Senate, all of them in machine-readable format, and finally, to the live streaming of the Bicameral Conference Committee. Actually, Mr. President, pagtapos ho nitong sponsorship po, i-upload na rin ho natin yung committee report. Kasama po yung mga annexes. So, ibig sabihin, kasama rin po dito yung mga different projects from the DPWH, from NIA, from Department of Agriculture at iba pa. First time ho gagawin natin na i-upload ho natin yung committee report together with the annexes in our Senate Transparency Portal. Another first in this budget was seeking the perspective of the civil society. Last October 28, we held a public hearing with various civil society groups to get suggestions on how transparency and accountability measures can be strengthened. They contributed valuable insights, particularly on digitalization. We hope that consultations with CSOs become a permanent part of the budget deliberations in the future, so that civic watchdog groups can have an active stake in the outcome of the nation's budget. We have also significantly reduced unprogrammed funds. During the budget hearings, one of our most painful discoveries was that unprogrammed funds that turned into a magnet of corruption. In 2023, the total amount for flood control projects that was sourced from unprogrammed funds stood at 25.25 billion. In 2024, the amount increased to 85.78 billion. For 2026, the House GAB allotted 243 billion pesos. The Senate version trims this down to 174.5 billion, a reduction of more than 68.5 billion. Of the 11 line items in unprogrammed funds, the Senate version reduced them to 7, with only 3 cash items. Mr. President, esteemed colleagues, we examined this budget with a fine-tooth comb. This representation personally sat through every budget briefing in all the subcommittees. And after all the budget briefings were concluded, we organized an additional series of technical working group meetings, and we invited all the senators and their respective offices to these TWGs to get their thoughts and recommendations, because we wanted to ensure that no stone was left unturned. At the end of the day, this is a product of the collective effort of the Senate. And I'd like to thank all my fellow senators for their contributions throughout the budget process. Your experience, perspectives, and recommendations are at the heart of this budget. The total proposed national budget for 2026 stands at 6.7 trillion pesos. This is 7.4% higher than the last year's budget, or about 467 billion pesos more. This budget is aligned with the President's Philippine Development Plan and draws its economic pillars from forecasts provided by the Development Budget Coordination Committee. GDP growth rates are set at 6.6 to 7% for the next year, as adopted from the DBCC. We are aware that external economic headwinds such as the U.S. tariffs and the uncertainties in our domestic economic environment, as evidenced by the slower GDP growth rate of 4% in the last quarter, may cause some to change their outlook on the nation's economy. But these developments do not dampen our confidence. We will take these challenges as a call towards more disciplined spending. Let me share the highlights of this Budget Committee report. The first notable highlight is the proposed budget for education. The 2026 budget is an education budget. The total budget for the education sector stands at 1.38 trillion pesos. This is 20% of the national budget, or 4.5% of GDP. It is the highest in our country's history. More importantly, for the first time, the budget for education meets the United Nations mandated benchmark for allotting at least 4 to 6% of GDP to the sector. This allows us to meaningfully pursue the goal of ensuring inclusive and equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. Within the sector, the Department of Education has been given 992.7 billion pesos, marking the largest allocation in its history. The Commission on Higher Education was allotted 48.2 billion pesos, while the Technical Education and Skills Development Authority is set to receive 25.3 billion pesos. Funding for state universities and colleges stands at 140.3 billion pesos. DepEd's budget will increase by a substantial 78.5 billion pesos, or 8.6% compared to the amount approved under the House General Appropriations Bill. This increase underscores our collective commitment to strengthen programs that directly enhance the quality of learning for our learners. One of our most urgent priorities is addressing the nation's long-standing classroom backlog. As of July 2025, the current classroom backlog stands at 147,000 classrooms nationwide. According to the figures from the Department of Education, more than 5,000 classrooms were either damaged or destroyed by the recent storms. Your Committee on Finance allocated an additional 19.3 billion pesos on top of the 48.7 billion pesos in the House version, bringing the total funding for classroom construction to nearly 68 billion pesos. This represents a significant increase to the 15.25 billion originally allotted for classroom construction under the 2026 National Expenditure Program, underscoring our firm commitment to providing every learner with a safe and conducive space for learning. This increased funding empowers the DepEd to construct between 19,000 to 27,000 new classrooms. And this will bode well with the recent sponsorship of Senator Bam Aquino on the Classroom Acceleration Program. So perfect timing po dahil yung batas po ay magkakaroon na ng funding pag na-approve po yung CAP law ni Senator Bam Aquino. An additional 15.06 billion pesos has been provided for the school-based feeding program, increasing its allocation from 13.61 billion pesos in the House version to 28.66 billion pesos under the Senate Committee report. This will allow the program to operate throughout the entire 200 school days of the year, ensuring nutritional support for kindergarten and grade 1 learners while continuing to prioritize wasted and severely wasted learners from grades 2 to 6. Actually, napag-usapan din namin ni Senator Bam to in one of his hearings about the school-based feeding programs to increase it from currently 120 days to now 200 days. So the entire school year na ho mapapakain ng mga bata ho natin. All told, more than 4.8 million learners are expected to benefit from this initiative. Significantly increasing the budget for textbooks is critical to improving student access to information and strengthening learner outcomes. This budget provisions an additional 18.08 billion pesos to ensure that all learners from kindergarten to senior high school receive the textbooks necessary for effective and meaningful learning. Coupled with the increase from the House of more than 11 billion, this brings the total budget for textbooks to more than 29 billion pesos. This will fund production of 82 textbook titles that will help almost 20 million learners in DepEd schools. Furthermore, 3.3 billion pesos has been added on top of the existing allocations for the ARAL program. This will ensure that tutors are adequately trained and fairly compensated, enabling them to better assist learners in addressing learning gaps. With the help of more than 440,000 tutors, an estimated of 6.7 million learners will be given tutorial sessions in reading and math. As we strengthen the access to textbooks and address the classroom backlog, let us also not forget to solidify early childhood education at the community level. To this end, we are allocating 2.46 billion pesos from the Local Government Support Fund to help 4th and 5th class municipalities convert existing daycare centers into child development centers. We also aim to create 4,422 plantilla positions for child development workers with a salary starting at salary grade 8. The budget of the Commission on Higher Education will rise by 11% compared to the House-approved version, a testament to the Senate commitment to universal access to quality tertiary education. This augmentation assures an additional 6.6 billion pesos for the tertiary education subsidy, ensuring that 490,000 incoming college students from 4-piece household can pursue their studies. This affirms our vision for the 4-piece program, that every family beneficiary should have at least one college graduate who can lift the household out of poverty through education. Under this augmentation, each beneficiary will receive 20,000 pesos per year if they are enrolled in a public higher education institution and 27 pesos per year if they attend a private HEI in areas without public university and colleges. It also corrects inequities in the past when students from low-income households were crowded out in the selection of TES beneficiaries. The budget of Technical Education and Skills Development Authority stands at a historic high, a reflection of our firm belief that TechVoc is not second class. It is a first-class ticket to gainful and dignified employment. We have provided an additional 5.1 billion pesos under the Training for Work Scholarship Program to train around 190,000 Filipinos in high-demand sectors such as healthcare, artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and creative industries. These priority industries were identified by the Private Sector Advisory Council's Education and Job Sector Group and Health Sector Group, as well as the Semiconductors and Electronics Industry Advisory Council to the TESDA. They were identified as priority sectors because these high-growth industries will require highly technical skills for the jobs they are creating, ensuring that our workforce is ready to meet the demands of a rapidly evolving economy. Through these investments in the potential of the Filipino, we are not only building a stronger, more competitive workforce, we are also empowering our nation with the skills and opportunities to shape the industries of the future and secure for themselves and their families a life of dignity and progress. The funding for SUCs will be higher than the House-approved budget by about 6.8 billion pesos as the Senate prioritized infrastructure projects that expand the carrying capacity of our state universities and colleges in support of universal access. This augmentation directly responds to our research findings presented during the budget briefing, which revealed that around 168,000 qualified college applicants were unable to enroll due to limited enrollment capacity. We also allocated 290 million pesos as seed funding for new medical schools in our state universities and colleges, an investment that will help ensure a steady pipeline of doctors ready to serve the health needs of the Filipino people. If education is often hailed as the key to our future, health is the foundation that allows us to reach it. With the key support of health advocates such as Vice Chairperson Senator Pia Cayetano, the Department of Health, including PhilHealth, has been allotted 376.5 billion pesos. Particular attention will be given to the implementation of the Universal Healthcare Law and the Zero Balance Billing Program of the current administration. These initiatives aim to ensure that every Filipino can access quality healthcare without the burden of financial hardship when seeking medical treatment. The Senate increased the operating funds of DOH hospitals by 9.3 billion pesos. This is to expand the coverage of the government's Zero Balance Billing Program. Under the NEP, the budget for zero balance billing stood at 53.3 billion. This could accommodate an estimated 16 million Filipinos. With the increase proposed by the Senate Committee report, the total budget for zero balance billing now stands at 62.6 billion pesos. With this augmentation, an estimated 18 million Filipinos can receive hospital care at no cost, an increase of 2 million beneficiaries. We also bolstered the funding for zero balance billing in specialty hospitals. The Lung Center of the Philippines, the Philippine Heart Center, the National Kidney and Transplant Institute, the Philippine Children's Medical Center will receive an additional 1 billion pesos each. This is also thanks to the recommendation of Vice Chairperson Senator Pia Cayetano. These efforts represent our commitment to a rights-based approach to health. And because we recognize health as one of the most fundamental human rights, we are strengthening rules-based systems to ensure that those who need help the most always have access to it. But health and education need a third pillar to secure the well-being of our people, particularly those who live in the farthest margins of society. Marami sa ating mahihirap ang umaasa pa rin sa mga social services ng pamahalaan. This is why the Department of Social Welfare and Development was allocated 230 billion pesos to support a wide range of targeted social welfare interventions. We increased the social protection for indigent senior citizens by 8.2 billion pesos to cover approximately 663,000 wait-listed beneficiaries, an initiative endorsed by Senator Pia Cayetano. We also increased funding for the supplementary feeding program for children below 5 years old to expand the number of feeding days from 120 to 180 days, benefiting more than 1.8 million children below 5 years old in our child development centers. In addition, we pushed for the establishment of 5 regional Bahay Pag-asa facilities to provide proper care and rehabilitation for the children in conflict with the law. Each Bahay Pag-asa carries a capacity of 50 beds, a total of 200 beds nationwide. Based on average case durations, these facilities can serve 125 and 500 children in conflict with the law every year. And this is also an advocacy of Senator Kiko Pangilinan to expand our capacity in the Bahay Pag-asa facilities nationwide. To ensure our budgetary decisions are guided by data, we have rationalized the budget for the Pantawid Pamilya program. A total of 101.8 billion pesos will be allocated for 4 Ps, enough to sustain the cash grants of around 3 million existing household beneficiaries and to extend coverage to about 500,000 new near-poor households identified through the community-based monitoring system. This funding level also addresses the 6.5 billion pesos shortfall for the December 2025 4Ps payout, ensuring that no family misses a single month of support. This rationalization is not just about numbers. It is about reaffirming our commitment to make 4Ps more targeted, data-driven, and sustainable, so that every peso we spend truly uplifts families who need it the most. We have not forgotten our 2.3 million overseas Filipino workers. Sila ang ating mga makabagong bayani. Ang mga sakripisyo nila ang bumubuhay sa kanilang mga pamilya at nagpapaandar ng ating ekonomiya. Bilang pagkilala sa kanilang kontribusyon, na doble po ng Senado dahil sa matatag na suporta ni Vice Chairman Senator Erwin Tulfo ang pondo ng Action Fund ng Department of Migrant Workers. Ito ay mula sa 1.2 billion na bersyon ng Kamara naging 2.4 billion pesos. Sa dagdag pondong ito, mas mapapalawak natin ang tulong para sa ating mga OFWs, kabilang ang pinansyal at medical na assistance, repatriation para sa mga nasa panganib at legal na suporta para sa mga may kinahaharap na kaso o suliranin sa ibang bansa. Ito ay patunay na ang ating bansa ay maninindigan para sa mga OFWs. Ang inyong pagsisikap ay hindi mauuwi sa kapabayaan, kundi tutumbasan ng proteksyon at tunay na malasakit. As we tend to the health and well-being of our communities and families, we should also look after the welfare of our industries, because the first level of empowerment is economic empowerment, and transforming our production sectors to create competitive work for our people is equally vital. To sustain growth and create jobs, let us invest in production and innovation. The Department of Agriculture, including its attached agencies and corporation, has been allotted 184 billion pesos. We have allocated 500 million pesos for the implementation of the Sagip-Saka Act, championed by Senator Kiko Pangilinan, to link our farmers and fisher folks directly to institutional buyers. The additional 500 million pesos will fund the establishment of food hubs where farmer producers can trade directly with retailers and consumers, minimizing intermediation and allowing farmers to capture greater profits from their production. This augmentation will raise the total funding for the establishment of food hubs to 2.6 billion pesos, benefiting around 2.6 million farmers in Region 3, 4A, 5, and Region 10. We also have provided 2 billion pesos for the construction of first border inspection facilities, a crucial investment to prevent the entry of plant and animal diseases that threaten our agriculture supply. By strengthening these safeguards, we can avert crises like the African swine fever outbreak, which the Department of Agriculture estimated to have cost around 120 billion pesos in losses to our hog industry. It also supports the revitalization of high-value crops such as coffee and cacao, with an additional 440 million pesos allocated for the High-Value Crops Development Program. In addition, 25 million pesos have been earmarked for the Young Farmers Challenge, an initiative championed by Vice Chairperson Senator Amy Marcos, which seeks to grant 600 awardees competitive grant assistance and training and mentoring in agriculture. And 41.1 million pesos has been allocated for the Mentoring and Attracting Young in Agribusiness initiative, all designed to inspire a new generation of Filipinos to see agriculture not as a livelihood of last resort, but as a field of innovation, enterprise, and pride. Through these strategic investments in the agriculture, we strengthen the foundation of food security and affirm the prosperity of our farmers in the prosperity of our nation. The Department of Trade and Industry will carry a budget of 9.7 billion. Thanks to the recommendation of Vice Chairperson Senator Amy Marcos, this will be used, among other things, to bolster our Fair Trade and Consumer Protection Program and the Pangkabuhayan sa Pagbangon at Gawa Program, which seeks to help microenterprises that fall victim to disasters. The Department of Science and Technology, with the support of Vice Chairperson Senator Camille Villar, will be granted a budget of 31.48 billion pesos. The proposed 2026 budget increases the amount allocated for Philippine Science High School scholarships, adding 413 million to the amount in the NEP. This marks the first increase to the scholarship package of the Philippine Science High School in 10 years. More than 10,000 learners will benefit from this increase. Our people experience the failures of governance not through missed KPIs or spreadsheets, but in hours they lose stuck in traffic, the toll that takes on their health, and the persistent disappointment that comes with knowing that infrastructure, the part of government that is meant to connect communities together, has been used as well for corruption that widens inequality. For 2026, the proposed budget for the Department of Public Works and Highways will be set at 568.56 billion pesos. We reduced the budget of the department by 55.91 billion. During the hearings, we discovered several red flags, such as roads with no station IDs, duplicate projects, projects in multiple phases, and reappearing projects from po yung mga gusto kong tingnan po itong budget, lalo na mga engineers, ma-identify na ho nila saan at gaano kahaba. We cannot talk about improving infrastructure without improving the country's transport system. For this year, the Department of Transportation will receive a budget of 189.298 billion. and thanks to the vigilance of Vice Chairman Senator J. Vercito, several key airport projects in Bicol, Daet, Camiguin, Siargao, and Catbalogan will be funded. Funding for the Bicol International Airport project is proposed at 1 billion. The Daet, Camiguin, and Catbalogan Airport each will receive funding at 250 million, and Siargao Airport will receive proposed funding of 100 million. Furthermore, this budget will support the acquisition of more than 400 floating assets for the Philippine Coast Guard in the amount of 4.9 billion pesos. Technologies such as monitoring systems to improve maritime safety will go a long way to enhancing the Coast Guard's capabilities. This was also upon the recommendation of Vice Chairperson Senator J.V. Arcito. The fast-paced nature of change in the modern world demands that we meet challenges to our safety from a position of strength. Dahil hindi lang nakasalalay sa mga tulay, daan at gusali ang pag-unlad, mahalaga rin ang katahimikan at seguridad ng ating mga komunidad. Because safe communities create the needed conditions for our people and economy to flourish. For fiscal year 2026, the proposed budget for the defense sectors amounts to 385.97 billion pesos. This represents 1.25% of the project's projected nominal GDP for 2026. This allocation is the highest defense spending of the country relative to its economic size and will surely strengthen our capabilities, address our defense-related needs. Together with this is the modernization of the AFP. Thanks to the guidance of Vice Chairman Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa, the Senate allocated 90 billion pesos to this endeavor. As we strengthen the foundations of our economy and ensure the future of our youth, we should also adapt to ever-changing geopolitical conditions. The continuing modernization of our armed forces is an investment in the nation's security and our contribution to the safety of the ASEAN region. Under the recommendation of Vice Chairperson Senator J.V. Arcito, we have transferred a total of 23.7 billion pesos from the MPBF to increase the subsistence allowance of more than 333,000 uniformed personnel in the Philippine National Police, the Philippine Coast Guard, the Bureau of Jail Management Penology, the Bureau of Fire Protection, and the Philippine Public Safety College, the Bureau of Corrections, and the National Mapping and Resource Information Authority. This funding will raise their daily subsistence allowance from 150 pesos to 350 pesos, bringing it at par with their counterparts in the armed forces of the Philippines. We also honor the sacrifices of the military veterans who came before. Also, through the initiative of Vice Chairman Senator Bato de la Rosa, the Senate has given support to the construction of two-story hospice dormitory at the Veterans Memorial Center. The facility will have 50 hospice patients' rooms and 50 dormitory rooms, increasing bed capacity by 250. Through these efforts, we affirm a simple but profound principle that government takes care of those who take care of the Filipino people. Our duties as leaders do not end with tending to the economy, securing our borders, or protecting our communities from crime and terrorism. We have a larger responsibility to prepare our nation and protect our people from the threats caused by climate change and the degradation of our environment. This is why this proposed budget also invests in environmental protection and climate resistance. Through the recommendation of Vice Chairperson Senator Legarda, the Climate Change Commission is set to receive an additional 55 million pesos specifically for the establishment of a roving climate change academy in coordination with SUCs, DepEd, schools, and local government units. Your Committee on Finance would also like to thank the following senators for upholding specific sectors of our society that are important to our heritage, culture, and our identity as Filipinos. Thank you to Vice Chairman Senator Jingo Estrada for advancing our film industry through the continued support of the Cinemalaya, the Film Development Council of the Philippines, and the Movie and Television Review and Classification Board. To Vice Chairperson Senator Lauren Legarda for always championing our cultural heritage and ensuring that it has meaningful spaces to flourish. To Senator Mark Villar for securing funding to restore the Manila Central Post Office building, which fell victim to fire in May of 2023. It is one of our most important and iconic historical treasures. I would also like to acknowledge Senator Bongo for standing shoulder to shoulder with our athletes and the Philippine Sports Commission. Senator Go's recommendation will increase financial assistance to athletes and the construction of high-performance training facilities. Thanks to these efforts, we can support generations of future athletes that may one day take their place on the world stage. Last but certainly not the least, let me take this opportunity to thank my staff and the team from the LBRMO who sat with me through all the briefings, hearings, and analyzed the budget down to the last detail to come up with policies that are fiscally responsible, socially responsive, and humane. We would not be here today without your effort. Mr. President, esteemed college, we cannot change the past. We cannot change the past, but we can shape and reclaim our future with clarity, conviction, and determination. The General Appropriations Act of 2026 stands as both the instrument of our national development and a pledge towards the restoration of government's credibility in the eyes of its people. May it remind us that progress without integrity is hollow, and integrity without progress is unfulfilled promise. Genuine principled governance demands no less. When we are entrusted with public office, we all swore to serve the Constitution, this Republic, and its people. Let us work together as one government and prove that oath true. Thank you, Mr. President, esteemed colleagues.
Thank you, Senator Sherwin Gatchalian, for that very elaborate and incisive sponsorship of the GAB of the Senate. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Mr. President.